Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. The market has actually been on fire this past week. So great news there. Kind of recover a little bit from some high interest rates. And the past couple of weeks have been good. We'll talk about that. Also have the brand new market numbers out. And they're interesting. We saw a decline a little bit. Sales down month over month and also year over year. And that came from some just higher interest rates a little bit earlier. We'll talk about that. But the good news is we tracked the real-time data. It's ticking back up, which is great. Price is interesting. Average sale price, one thing, median sale price, another thing. We'll talk about that, dig into that, and really kind of say, what's that mean overall? We'll also talk about the big advantage of selling in spring. That's a big thing we've seen right now. Just a lot of home buyers coming to the marketplace across the country overall. One of the key headlines here nationally just this past week was home prices are back on the rise as the spring market proves more competitive than expected, which means what? Great news for home sellers out there. Our seller has been absolutely crushing it in terms of that, which is awesome overall. Just some great stuff overall with that. And also, we had on the last week's schedule, just getting out of time to do some things about home inspections, how you can kind of save money in the front end, some costs that we help our sellers save some money on, which is really, really good overall as well. And just a lot of things too. Another great article out just talks about some national data. It says buyer activity is up despite higher mortgage rates, which is great. We've seen that really kind of normalize as long as we're back below 7, which we are. We've seen a lot of buyers move in. So long story short, the spring market is in full effect. We're seeing that transition right now into the overall summer market. And that's great news for home buyers, also great news for home sellers. We'll dig into what's happening with inventory. We'll kind of look at all that stuff and give you kind of that recap overall. Also, some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it, working like crazy 7 days a week. We've been running 10, 11 open houses a weekend right now and just really been doing all kind of things to help our clients out and make sure that we're winning in this adjusting market. Talk about that and just some good stuff overall in this week's show.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you're just tuning in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show hosted by Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may be seeing him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeVox. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yeah, so we've talked about this for a long time on the show, and it's just more important than ever right now, just because we're in a different market, right? And the market we were in last year, the year before, that's not the same. That COVID era of houses selling it crazy. You can get a part-time real estate agent for a cheap fee that puts some pictures on their cell phone and put it out there. Just isn't working, right? You need somebody who's the best, who's the expert. And so here's what we find. We find that I made a promise to talk about this on every show. A few years ago, I think we're 14 years into the show, and I still see the same mistakes over and over and over, even from long-term listeners who listen to the show. And the mistake they make is thinking that all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be any further from the truth. Just like any type of service business that involves humans, right? The human you have makes the difference. Just like if you're at a restaurant, sometimes you have really good service. Sometimes you've had horrible service that ruin your experience, right? And a lot of times you don't have great service. And also the type of service you get also depends on the type of restaurant you go to. And so it's the same type of thing we were talking about real estate, but here's the difference with real estate. Real estate's your largest asset. And so you want to make sure you're not gambling like some random restaurant when you're talking about how you're handling your largest restaurant, your largest asset. You want the absolute best, just like we've talked about before, where if you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, the attorney you choose matters, right? The last thing you want is a part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases. But for some reason, when people sell their house, they'll spend 15, 20 years building equity and 5-10 minutes picking a real estate agent. And they pick the agent on the absolute worst things. Who do you know, right? Who referred you and how much do you cost? And then ultimately, they don't really dig and ask the right questions, which is why you see such a huge failure rate on the real estate side for home sellers, also for home buyers, and why most people are frustrated after going through the process. But here's even what's worse. A lot of people sell their house. They think they had success. They don't realize they left $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. I see this every single week, over and over and over through other experiences where we have somebody who's representing somebody with the largest asset that they own. it gets mishandled and costs them tremendous amounts of money on the back end, and 20, 30, 40,000. Here's the crazier part is they're happy at the end because they don't even know that they left 30, 40,000 on the table. I'll tell you an example today. Even with our success story, we put $100,000 more in the pocket of our home seller. Just thankfully they called us, and I'll explain how that works overall. But that's the point I'm trying to make is the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period, right? Not the wall color, not the grass quality, not really the how cluttered it is. It comes down to the agent you choose, because in selling a property, most people don't realize there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what it does? Puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, guess what it does? It costs you your hard-earned equity that you created making payment after payment after payment. And what happens is it just gets left on the table for somebody else to take because it wasn't protected the right way. And the reason that is the old school business model you see most realtors operate. You have one single agent who's juggling all the balls. They're trying to work with buyers, trying to work with sellers, trying to do marketing, trying to do the CMA market analysis, they're trying to do their closing coordination. All this stuff is like having the same person at McDonald's to the front register, the drive-thru, and the French fries at the same time. It's very inefficient, which is the same reason it's not a great level of service. And so that's the old school 8-track tape, the old school cassette tape way that most agents operate. I'd say right at 95% of agents still operate that way, and it's a broken business model. And so what we did is said, there's got to be a better way. We sought out and said, hey, look, how do we manage all those 118 different variables? You know, it's impossible for one person to do it. So I sought out and created this system called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. We stack those dominoes in order to give our client the highest amount of money they get through a competitive advantage. And so we use two main things to make that happen. Number one is a team of people. You have to have a team of people to do 118 different variables on each listing. It's just not possible for one person to efficiently manage all those. And that's why you see so much equity being left on the table or properties not getting sold. And the second thing we do to back that up is technology. We spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology to make sure we're creating leverage for our client, because what we do is we stack those dominoes up and we create small gaps at each one. So point one, we create a small gap for our client. Point two, create a small gap for our client. Point three, small gap for our client. And what happens is you stack those little small gaps over 118 different ones. It creates a massive gap that's a competitive advantage for our client. That's how we sell properties faster and for more money. And the reason I share that is because you owe it to yourself to at least investigate it. Ask some questions about it, learn about it, see it, because we joke about once you see it, you can't unsee it, because it's so much more powerful to have it handled the right way, like a true business should be. And so I looked outside of the industry, hired coaches from outside the industry, and said, look, how can we model this like a real business and have real predictable results for our clients? And that's what we did. And that's how we got one of the top teams, top 60 in North America, right? Number one team in Myrtle Beach by double, because we manage those variables and get results for our client and put maximum dollar in the pocket, all with most convenience possible. So that's what you want to know about for home sellers out there. Guess what? For home buyers out there, it's still very, very difficult market, very low inventory. A lot of things can make you miss out on the property, can be missed in the transaction that costs you money in either overpaying or missing out on the right one. And so we created this system called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as negotiation and home inspection to get you that closing table successfully. And both of those, we want to be, right, your real estate resource for life. We're here to help serve you, not just when you buy the property, but when you own the property. We help you get the right vendors to get you the best discounts and the best pricing to make sure you're in the know, to make sure you know what your property's worth, and make sure you have vendors and people you can trust all throughout the process. If you want to know more how that works, reach out to us, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. Take a quick break, right back in a second.
Market to buy or sell a home right now, every detail means dollars, and who you hire to negotiate your home, that really matters. Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor who invests in real estate all across the great country of ours, I want the best negotiator representing my interests. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. He can help you navigate through multiple cash offers, and more importantly, he has turned complicated situations into 5-star reviews. Now check out his rave reviews on Google. Talk to him yourself. If you are on trial with big money at stake, you would want a seasoned negotiator with thousands of victories. if they will take you on and you can afford them, right? Well, your home deserves the best representation. Know your options, see how much demand your home can command in this market right now, and get the best representation that you deserve. Call Blake Sloan today at 808 sold. That's 808 sold, or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, days after it home was even ready.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan and sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market alert. And actually, the data I'm using real time is just actually giving me an error code right now that says with the following error occurred. So, but the good news is I have a lot of this already written down, and we'll talk about this overall. Some interesting news, really, in terms of real estate this past month. And we'll talk about two types of data. The one data that's really the most important to me is look at overall what's happening with the overall, we call it the front windshield numbers. I talk about this all the time, but that's what's happening in real time the past 7 days. I always try to track. We started doing this in COVID because I realized, and I had this big, aha, that everyone uses data that's closed data. Well, the closed data, the problem is if it closes, let's say this week, it went under contract 30 to 60 days prior. And so by the time I'm making decisions on data that's 60 days old, then overall, I'm not making the best decision. So I want to take into account both of those overall. And so that's just something that really looking forward to, and I'll talk about what's happened in the last 7 days. It's actually pretty good, and this has really been driven by the overall, just the interest rates as a whole. We can watch it kind of trend based on what's happening. So last week's show, there was 590 properties that went under contract in a 7-day period. We track this every morning in our office. We go through a huddle every morning because it allows us to advise our clients based on how aggressive you can be, right? If sales are up, we know for listing a property, we can be a little more aggressive because they're a little bit more up, right? If sales are down, we understand that, and we're able to use that data to really fine tune our process and fine tune our strategy. Also, for our buyers out there, we do the same exact thing. So last week, 590 properties under contract. This week, 594 properties under contract. So up just a little bit, which is great news. Overall volume, which is great news, 225,155,519 dollars sold in the last 7 days. Remember, I've talked about in previous in the past is like anytime that we're over the process of 200 million, it's unbelievably smoking hot, which is good. And so last week's show, we're at 220 million. So a 2.11% week over week, which is good. That's just rocket rolling. Again, that's because we're coming into, Sun Fun Week and we're coming into that summer market. People are getting where they've been stalking properties for months, and our team's been running around the clock really for the past couple of weeks. Just keeping up with people who are in town, which is something that's very, very interesting overall to look at. And so 2.11% increase in the overall volume, which is great. Looking at active properties, last week's show inventory was at 850 single family properties on the market in Horry County, right? I just use that because it allows me to keep a pulse of what's happening. Single family homes, what most people own. That's what most people want to know about, what's their property value. And so it helps me keep a tab of what's happening. Last week's show, 850. This week's show, 832. So inventory is down. Well, why is that? Because we had a huge run in volume, right? You're talking 5 million more in volume just in the week versus last week. And so also big money coming in. We can always track this. Always track how many properties over 500,000 and how many properties over $1 million. In the last 7 days, 21 properties over $1 million went under contract, which is huge. Last week's show, there's only 15 properties over $1 million. So you're seeing a lot of big money. Most of that money we're seeing is from out of state. We've been getting a lot of West Coast money. Interesting enough, we get a lot of Northeast money coming in, just all over the place. A lot of retirees. And so we're seeing that. But here's the cool part. We've been getting people, and I talked with some clients this past weekend, that they came and tried to buy last year. But the market was so crazy, they're getting outbid every single thing. They're retired. They're coming down from Pennsylvania, and they got outbid and they gave up their home search. Well, guess what? This past year, just a month ago, they came back down and they looked and found something. Boom, put an offer out. Was able to get accepted. Didn't have to get into 10 offers, and it worked out for them. And guess what? They moved down here, got everything done within 30 days, sold their house in the market up there, came back down here. We're seeing that happen a lot right now. Which is interesting enough. And so that's just something that we're kind of taking into account. Like, hey, look, here's what's happening overall, that everyone's kind of who gave up last year is getting back in the market as they're getting used to just the overall the higher interest rates, everything else going on there as well. So looking at properties over 500,000, pretty much close to last week. 91 properties over 500,000 this week, 93 properties over 500,000 last week. And if you go back just to a couple weeks ago, back in January is when we saw this big run happen. Back then, there's only 364 properties under contract in a week for 125 million. So here's the deal: just between January and now, we're talking $100 million a week difference. Where right now we're at 225. And last, back in January we're at 125, which has been pretty crazy to watch. And so that's just something that's overall pretty neat to watch. One thing been driving that is interest rates. I may come back to the real-time monthly numbers in a second. My source to the real-time data is just not working right now. Rates, good news with rates. Last week's show was at 6.67%. This week's show right now, 6.58%. Some of you may have seen there's some chaos last week in terms of the stock market, some things happening, which improved the bond market, which is great news. And so that's still the main wild card we're seeing right now. It just comes down to affordability in Myrtle Beach, right? There is a big amount of second homes here, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac does have an overlay sometimes that does increase the rate a little bit on a second home. And so that's just something that we've seen that really anytime it's below 7, we're rock and rolling. Right now we're at 6.58 for a 30-year fix, which is great. It was 6.67 last week. Right now, a 15-year fix, 6.00%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 6.20%. A 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now is 6.75%. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.2%, and a 30-year VA, 6.19%. So overall, it's looking pretty good, right? Great news. And here's the thing I like most is the timing piece, right? We've come into that spring market. The spring market's transitioning to summer market right now. We know kids get out of school in June. And so guess what? You're going to expect a lot more of a run coming at this from buyers who've been stalking, buyers who've been looking. So if I'm a home seller, I want to take advantage of that and say, look, how do I position myself and tee this up at the right place at the right time? And just trust me, if you're thinking about making that move laterally, thinking about moving up, moving down, or having some liquidations of rental properties or some other property you have that's an investment property, do it the right time about the seasonality. I was born and raised here. We always know that it's seasonality really matters here in Myrtle Beach, and especially when you're talking about the real estate market. And the last thing you want to do is miss this window, especially if rates go up into late second quarter, early third quarter, and that's going to be something to watch out for. And so just keep that in mind. Market's super hot right now. If I can get this data up in a second, we'll come back to it. We'll take a quick break. I'm going to see if I can get that done. We'll come right back with our hot buyers alert, awesome success stories, and we'll talk about the market nationally as well.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. We're still trying to get that data source to work, but we have hot buyers alert. My team and I are working ridiculous amount of home buyers here in the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand area, from $250,000 to $4.43 million. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One of the things I'm most proud of being doing on this show for a very, very, very long time is putting our money where our mouth is, right? We talk about what makes us different than everyone else. And the main difference is that we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. That's right, 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, because of the advantage we have with our unique business model. I created this hybrid model that takes a team, but the team is a hybrid with a brokerage. And so no one's independent. And we have a team, what we call specialists, where in most big brokerages, right, you think, well, I want to go to the biggest company. Well, the problem is when you do that, they're all just a bunch of independent contractors that don't care about anyone else. When I was at the big box stores, both at Remax and Coldwell Banker, it was me versus them and them versus me. And guess what? They didn't care about me. I didn't care about them. And so with our business model, we have an alignment. We have a team of specialists. We have listing specialists, buyer specialists. We have inside sales. We have outside sales. We have listing coordinators, closing coordinators. We have professional videographers, photographers, all on staff, real time. Professional graphic designers. I mean, all this stuff is real time on time. And so now versus having a generalist who doesn't really master anything, right? One agent trying to juggle all those balls, like I mentioned, the person who's working the front register, the draft, and the French fries. So they can't really do but so much and get the squeaky wheel. With us, we have each person in the right place at the right time, specifically somebody working the drive through, right? Somebody working the register, somebody working the fries. And so everything comes out smoothly and you're able to optimize every single point. And so with that said, we're spending tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars every single month. And I get this question of like, what makes you different than anyone else? And the main difference is we're spending tens of thousands of dollars before you ever think about calling me. And so by the time you do call me, guess what we have? We have this thing called buyers in waiting. And the buyers we have are looking for properties just like yours. And we have a technology that we can reverse engineer the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search pattern. Just like a Facebook ad, you think about something, you mention something, all of a sudden it starts showing up in your feed. Guess what? It's the same exact thing we're able to do with this high level technology. And it's been very, very beneficial because that's how we sell properties faster. And it's also we sell properties for more money because we create a demand for your property by bringing multiple buyers at the same time. And it helps drive up prices for that. It helps obviously create multiple offers in many cases. But at the same time, we're able to move it quickly without trekking 20, 30, 40 people in and get it to the right buyer at the right time and have a team of specialists who can handle that transaction overall. And if you look at the average agent or MLS, the market here, they sell 4 homes a year, which is not a whole lot of homes, 1 home per quarter. There's not a whole lot of money to eat with or pay your rent with, much less spend in marketing dollars. And so you want someone who can get you the right exposure to get your house differentiated from everyone else and get the right eyeballs on it to get it moved properly. And so right now, real time, we have real time count active home buyers on our website who are searching with a username, password account, 72,119 active home buyers. Again, that's 72,119 active home buyers that we have. They're looking for a home here in the Myrtle Beach Grand area, and these are active. It's like right now, I got Robbie Whitner from Hilton Head, South Carolina on the site. He's been to site 22 visits, looked at 50 properties, and has 2 favorites. His average sale price looking at is $257,000. Right, we got Ashley Georgia from North Towanda, New York. She's been on the site, brand new on the site, 6 visits. I got Brandon here from Myrtle's Inlet. I got Lenny from, I can't even say it's Pickerton, Ohio. I got Ruby from Hampstead, North Carolina. We got AJ from Weston, West Virginia. We got Raleigh, North Carolina, Fairmont, West Virginia. The reason I bring it up is because we don't just have a local reach here, right? We have a huge, you don't want the agent who's got the small little, mud puddle and they got a few buyers in the mud puddle. You want the one with a big ocean, right? And that's what we got in our market. Really, the business model allows us to market at a huge level to have that. And so we have a lot of big buyers, specifically right now, Lisa Gambella from New York, obviously New York City. I got Colleen from Largo, Florida. I got Indian Trail, North Carolina, Conway, South Carolina, all over. And so what we're seeing is our international reach allows us to bring more buyers in. And so we create more demand for your property. And it's very, very valuable. I share that because we need listings. We're at a very, very low inventory, about 2.2 months inventory right now, which is a super seller's market, meaning that inventory is tight. It's tight across the country. It's tight right here, right now. And so we have a demand right now for massive amounts of listings that we're able to sell quickly and have our team of specialists match up to that as well. And so if you're thinking about selling, reach out to us. More importantly, do me a favor. If you listen to the show, it provides any sort of value in terms of updates and data. And you have anybody you come across that's thinking about selling, they mention it, they talk about real estate, have them call me. Say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake, 843-808-SOLD, or obviously have them just Google Sloan Realty Group or Sloan Group Real Estate, which is super important overall. One thing, too, I think that's super important that we're very proud of is our awesome success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. Been working very, very hard. While most agents are out playing golf, we're hustling every weekend. Like I said, we're doing open houses Saturdays and Sundays and working all throughout the week as well, which we're valued. So big shout out right now to Karen. I'm going to show you how we put $100,000 extra dollars in Karen's pocket, which is very valuable. Karen owned a townhouse in Myrtle Beach. She was struggling keeping up with HOA fees. They had gone up. A lot of insurance has gone up. She hadn't paid them a couple of years. The HOA starting foreclosure process, feeling overwhelmed, right? Karen started reaching out to different people to see what her options were. She met with multiple investors and realtors and felt like she did not have any good options. Thankfully, a friend recommended her to Sloan Realty Group. She decided to give us a call. We met with her, explained exactly how we're able to help her sell it to what we call an owner occupant who's going to pay the most amount of money, way more than some investor. We designed a custom marketing plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality walkthrough, had massive traffic within 2 weeks, had a fantastic as is offer, meaning that she had to make no repairs, no giving no credits or anything at closing. That was $100,000 more than any investor or realtor that she had met with was willing to pay her. And now she's able to move on with confidence, putting maximum dollar in her pocket, which is awesome. So great news really quick. And looks like got the data back up. The error is no longer happening through our system. So check it out. Sales last month for single family home sales, down 23% year over year, which is interesting, right? That's something new. The peak of last year was in March. And you saw it kind of go down. We're seeing that same thing here. And so March right now, there was 976 single family homes that were sold that closed. Remember, this is all construction type. I'll break it down to just resale homes. Right now in resale homes, there's 410 properties that closed in April and 483 in March. So significant little decline there. That's just a lagging indicator when rates jump back up. About a month or so ago, people did pump the brakes a little bit. The good news is it's back rock and rolling again, which is very, very good news overall. And so looking this year, March 483 properties, April 410 properties, and so down 37% year over year, but it's pretty good compared to back in January. There's only 322 properties, February 321, March 483, back 10 in April, which is pretty typical to see that bounce back around. I do think we'll see that bounce back up this month in May and June, just because I'm watching the real-time numbers each week be $200 million plus. That's something that's been very, very good for us overall as well. Into sales price, median sales price down 5.5%, which is interesting year over year. It's one of the first time we've seen a decline. And it also declined month over month. So March, it peaked out for median at 369.9. In April, 345. And so that's interesting because average sale price was the opposite. Average sale price is now through the roof with a new record, actually the really new record all time. Right now, 497,529 for the average sale price in our area. It's up significantly from last month. March was 442, 551. April, 497. So a $50,000 plus jump in average sale price. And that became, like I mentioned, a lot of big money came in from up north. We see a lot of high-end properties moving right now. And we're just seeing prices being driven up because guess what? There's not a whole lot of inventory. And that's really protecting the market. Even though sales down about 30%, price is still up significantly, which has been very, very, very good. The one key number here, looking at inventory. Inventory is at 2.6 months inventory. Overall, if you take everything together, also condos will talk about 2.2 and 2.3 months. But right now, stay the same as it was last month, which is very, very good news for home sellers. A little bit difficult for buyers. Like I mentioned, we're staying around the 800 properties every single day. They're available here in that aspect. And so look really quick for condos really quick before we're out of time. Condo sales, last month, condo sales down 29% year over year. And it's down month versus month, but very slightly. In looking at March, 558, April, 488. And so a little bit drop there. I think we'll see that bounce back up again. That's a lagging indicator when rates jumped back up a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and now we're seeing them back down to the mid sixes. And so overall thought process here, we're coming to that summer market, coming to that spring market. If I'm looking to buy, there's a lot of opportunity right now because people are putting their houses in the market. From a home seller, there's a lot of opportunity because guess what? The buyers are coming in town in droves. And so if you want to take the right time and be smart and be strategic, at least get your plan in place. If you're thinking about selling, reach out to us, call us 843-808-SOLD. You can also go to blakesloan.com anytime. We want to be able to make sure that we can reach out and match one of our buyers up to your properties and get that property sold. Also, as usual, if you have any real estate questions at all, we're to serve you, serve the community. You can reach out, go to the website at blakesloan.com. You can call us 843-808-SOLD. We're here to answer any questions you may have. And also any topics you want to talk to, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD. We'll see you back here next week.